Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News.
The Osun governorship election took place yesterday and was adjudged peaceful by most observers. However, there were still complaints of vote buying in the run-up and during the election. In particular, the ruling All Progressives Congress was accused of devising ingenious ways of buying voters by paying 2-3 months of workers' salaries in the state where workers had been owed for several months. The opposition, the People's Democratic Party, was also accused of distributing bags of rice to induce voters into voting for their candidate. Vote buying remains a growing phenomenon in Nigeria's electoral process and largely plays a role in determining electoral outcomes, even though it's against the law. What can the authorities do, especially the Independent National Electoral Commission, to address this problem in our electoral process, especially as we approach a general election in 2019?
Okay. There was a lot of controversies on using electronic devices during the election process in Osun State. I think that, that's one step. Addressing your question, what is the government or the INEC doing to address this issue? And also, having all these people trying to induce people to vote for other candidates, like you just mentioned, buying rice, is really appalling. What's your take on that?
I thought INEC had an ironclad way of ensuring against vote buying. Even though some experts said it wouldn't work, that's what we're seeing playing out right now. So there was, don't take your phones to the polling booth. There was the report, any infractions you see on the website. There was an app for it or something, report on the website. But that hasn't worked because what we see is that the stake is higher. The stake is higher. There's much more money given. I know in Osun State, people have been complaining that civil servants were not really paid, public servants were not really paid their full salaries. Now we see inducements in the form of salaries. These salaries are owed the workers. It's their right. They had worked. They deserved it. And then there was also a report of arrests being made. 3 suspects. Investigations are still on. 720,000 naira was found on these people. So I mean, I just see. What I've seen is that the stakes are higher now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really difficult one to deal with because, I mean, we all know that it's wrong, and of course, any politician or official that's caught doing so should absolutely be punished. I think bigger than trying to clamp down on it is trying to deal with the root cause. People still aren't understanding the power that their vote has. If you are willing to sort of sell your vote or in terms, what your future could potentially be or the future of your children or your grandchildren for either what the government owes you or for a bag of rice, that is a really big problem. And that goes that a lot of people, it shows that a lot of people do not have confidence in the system. They don't believe that the system works for them. So if they feel that I could just get a bag of rice, I mean, that is really disturbing that you would feel that your life or your future is worth so little, or that you have such little confidence in the system that you would be willing to sell this.
You're blinded by your immediate need.
Exactly.
I take this rice, I can feed my family and all of that.
And to be honest, in certain situations, you can't really blame these people.
No, you couldn't really blame them. I mean, these politicians all come out and say exactly the same thing. And they come out saying how much they're going to improve their economy, and these people are suffering. Everyone's suffering. Why wouldn't I take a bag of rice?
Well, the bag of rice, I could say, okay, I can identify with that. But my salary that you haven't paid in months?
I mean, interestingly enough...
And there's no way, I would take the salary, but there's no way I can vote you back.
I mean, I think with the salary thing, I mean, Osun State is one of the notorious states in terms of owing salary. I remember interviewing a teacher there a while back who said he hadn't been paid salary for, I think it was 7 months. And, you ask these people, how are you living? How are you surviving? You have children, you have bills, you need to eat. And, these people are borrowing money. They're literally doing whatever it takes to survive. And like you said, I'm not sure that I'd be able to take my salary and then still vote for you at the same time. But it's also... I mean, if that is true, what they're doing with that, it's terrible. I mean, it's bad enough you're owing these people, and now you're trying to use it as a means to garner support for yourself.
And then the most annoying thing is the party is still making headway in the elections, one of the top parties for the elections, and it's really disturbing. Now, if you look at the outlay of Osun State, Osun State doesn't generate any internally, not a healthy.
It's one of the lowest.
Exactly, it's one of the lowest. And then, so for people in the state, we all know that we had with the former finance minister, Take-Osun, when the country was in a recession, they were governments were encouraged to pay salaries because they say it puts money in the pockets of the people, and then there's a circulation. Now, in a state where FDI is low, rather, internally generated revenue is low, there's no money in the pockets of the people, there's no way the economy of that state can get any better. Yeah. And then, of course, and then back to the vote buying. I mean, you know, they talked about the fact that, oh, you hide your votes, you know, that's why the booth was created and all of that.
And also I heard that the ballot boxes were...
yeah, we'll address that in a bit. So, you know, with hiding, you know, your votes, it just happens that some people found ingenious ways of still showing what they voted or who they voted for. And of course, we know what comes with that. They're trying to please somebody and say, okay, you paid me so much, so I've done my job, I've voted for somebody. So, I mean, those are all the problems we do. And they were saying there were a few cases of ballots snatching, there was pockets of violence, nothing major, but I think these reports were still made.
Yeah, I mean, I think on a long-term level, just trying to educate people about the importance of their vote and the importance of democracy. I mean, INEC can come in and put in all sorts of regulations, but ultimately, if people want to buy votes and if people want to sell votes, it's still going to happen. Yeah. But if you have someone who has confidence that this system works for me and I'm not satisfied with what I'm being given, there's nothing you'll be able to entice them with, because they're thinking long-term. They're thinking about...
And they understand long-term.
Exactly, they understand long-term. So there has to be that education there.
Yeah, if this vote-buying thing INEC is trying to work against isn't working, you think that if there were penalties, strict penalties, people would actually say, you know what, maybe I should reconsider before I sell my vote. You think that would work?
I do think so.
Well, even though there are the penalties, how do you actually track the...
That's also true, enforcement.
No, as many people as you're able to catch. Because, I mean, 3 people have been arrested with 720,000 naira. As much as you can. I mean, 4 policemen to every polling center. And if you have as many as 4, are we trying to say that infractions were not noticed?
I think that...
So I think the policemen are looking the other way as well.
Yeah, but I mean, even the fact that having policemen during an electoral process is just, you know, it's baffling for me, because it's not something that our client. I'm not, you know, it's not something that I get used to. Like, why do you have policemen?
Well, that's the Nigerian way. You know, we're lucky that this time, as even policemen, normally we've talked about the over-militarization of the process. And you have like military men as well there, and it's really disturbing. So we've turned it down several notches. Now we have 4 policemen. So
I think for the short term, that could work in terms of penalties. If they can actually be enforced and people see that. If you see that, oh God, I've taken, you know, 20,000 naira, but the penalty for being caught is 80,000 naira, and you see that happen to someone.
You get locked up if you don't have the money.
I think short term that will help, but I still feel like making people understand, like, your vote is worth more than whatever these people can offer you, because this is your future, it's the future of your children, and it's the future of the country. So
it's quite a lot for, you know, vote buying in Nigeria, but people also said this is a litmus test for the big elections coming up next year. So when we see what has gone wrong with this one, vote buying still at large, the stakes are higher, you begin to wonder what happens come 2019.
And are they prepared?
Yes,
are they prepared? Because it will be rife, I'm sure.
Is there any other test before 2019?
I don't think there is.
Yeah, so...
I think this is it.
This is it. So how do we handle it? How does INEC handle it?
Well, that's the question.
I mean, I hope that after this election, once they've sort of taken time to debrief, they're going to look very closely at what went wrong, what they did well, what they could improve on, and hopefully they can factor that in to 2019.
And you know, INEC did say they were going to go tough on vote buying. So these reports have come out, inducements in terms of salaries, bags of rice, and parties have been mentioned. So what kind of investigations do we expect to be put in place to get to the bottom of this? And of course, metal penalties. You think that's a possibility?
I mean, it should be.
Yeah, I would hope so, because that would actually show their independence as well, that they're not being partisan or partial to anybody, that they've decided we're going to be tough on this crime, and no matter who we find, is responsible will get penalised. I think that would send a really strong message out for 2019.
Yeah.
But that remains to be seen.
All right.
Fingers crossed.
Moving on to Anthony Joshua, who delivered a stunning finish to stop Alexander Povetkin, I don't know how to pronounce that name, Povetkin, and retain his world heavyweight titles at Wembley Stadium. Before yesterday, the IBF, WO, and WBA champion was criticized in some quarters of failing to finalize a deal with the division's other high-profile names, but he responded emphatically with a 7th-round stoppage of the Russian, who had never been beaten inside the distance. After an early chess match in which Joshua suffered a bloodied nose before cutting his rival, the Briton grew in confidence, and a savage right hand followed by a left hook began an onslaught which would prove telling. Ross poured down to ringside, and as the rain had all day, with Joshua's corner ecstatic, and rightly so. His display showcased poise, intellect, and power, sending a message to the heavyweight division that the champion will take some stopping.
Congratulations, Anthony Joshua.
Yeah,
who's also Nigerian.
I'm not a sports fan, but I mean, I'm not a boxing fan.
I
think it's such a. I think it's what do you call that? It's like a.
It was born of Nigerian parents.
No, I'm just talking about the game, the boxing.
I just had to mention.
I think that it should be abolished. I don't think it should be something that we should. Why would you watch a fight of two people fighting with nose bleeding and all that? So I don't even pay attention to boxing at all.
I mean, I have asked my friends that are boxing fans, and they tried to explain it to me, but it's not a sport for me. But I mean, congratulations to Anthony Joshua.
Congratulations to okay, let's go back. Okay, so he's Nigerian.
I just had to say that, you know.
He's hard.
Yes, good looking, really good looking, and we're happy. Yet another win for Joshua.
Yeah.
I know that at some point there were so many people coming for him, you know, challenging him and all of that. Well, hopefully, it never stops, so they'll keep challenging him. So it will never stop. They'll keep coming, but you know, this is another win, another big title for him, and all of social media is celebrating him, because I saw the win this morning on social media, and of course I watched that little bit where he knocked him down and out. So, you know, and when they say he suffered a bloody nose, I'm like, wow, I haven't heard him been hit like that before. So it must have been a tough fight for him.
I think from what I was seeing, people were saying that it was quite an evenly matched game. That there were areas where the other fighter was dominating, and people weren't quite sure. But then he came back into the game. And I think they said he might have broken his nose as well.
Yeah.
He might need some surgery. I know, it's such a lovely nose. But I mean, now it looks like he's just sort of undisputed champion at this point, and it will take a lot to stop him. But go Nigeria, I guess. Dominating all over the world.
At that point when the game was actually tough, I wonder what was going through his mind. Like, am I going to lose this one? Oh my God, this is a tough fight, blah, blah, blah. You know, you're thinking all these thoughts and saying, am I going to lose this title? But, you know, he came through, and he was well. He was fine.
All right. So, and what were your thoughts when, you know, when you saw that video? It was you that saw that video. What were you thinking?
You know, the thing is, I can't watch a whole boxing match, but, you know, that point, and it was Joshua's win, which I know. So I was like,
Yeah.
And I wondered,
well, there were a lot of speculations that he was going to be a tough match.
Yeah.
And they were saying that he was his opponent was actually going to win the match.
I guess that would have happened. But when I saw the guy being hit and there was a red patch on his face, I'm like, wow, that must have been a hit. And then he fell. And, you know, you're thinking all these things that I wonder how bad the injuries can get.
No, I mean, it's just, I can't watch boxing. Like,
no,
it's
I can't.
Just too,
I don't follow the
like
game. I'm not ever going to follow the game. I don't really care much about it.
I mean, I did watch that.
I really don't.
You're really passionate about it.
I'm so passionate about it. And people suffer a lot. Muhammad Ali had, what did he have?
Parkinson's. I think he has Parkinson's.
And people saying that it's not related, but it's, I mean.
That's the thing. Well, Parkinson's, people who are not even boxers, they do suffer Parkinson's, right?
Yeah,
so,
but I just think that it's just a really tough game, and it shouldn't be a game that people should enjoy.
Oh, we should get into it sometime.
No ways, I'd never go to a boxing match.
gyms in Lagos as well.
Yes, they do. Yes.
Well, you can hit other things, but not people. I don't understand that.
The way you're swinging the fist, you get to be scared.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Yemisi. It was a pleasure to have you here. This brings us to the end of the morning show today. Thank you for watching from our entire team here in Lagos. Enjoy the rest of your morning and, of course, the rest of your day. Goodbye.